Hello and welcome. This is the first in a series of video tutorials in which we will be reviewing the analytical features of the Aura software system from SI Imaging. This series starts off by demonstrating how you can retrieve images you've taken on your AMI-HT or LIGO system, and then it will show you how to run various different kinds of optical signal analyses. Now, what we're looking at here is the homepage of the Aura platform. And if any of you have taken images on either an AMI-HT or LIGO system, you'll notice that there is something missing. Down at the bottom, Acquire ribbon is not present. And this is because this is an analytical version of the software platform. It's available online at our Spectral Instruments Imaging webpage, and you can download it for free. So this gives you the ability to work away from the system on your lab bench, on your laptop, wherever you may be. Now, the essential features of this homepage can be broken down into three parts. We're looking at the toolbox, which will allow you to run a variety of analyses on the data in the image. Typically, one uses the measure icon to look at ROIs, and these can be drawn in a variety of ways, and we'll get into that momentarily. There is info at different layers of the image, and we'll dive down through images and see the various different kinds of data, both optical, X-ray, photo, and metadata. In this second panel, referred to as the color control panel, and the various different bars below it, you're able to have fonts with greater or lesser transparency. You're able to have calibration bars in which you are changing the range that's presented in the image. So we will also address how these can come into play in optimizing your dynamic range as presented on the image. And finally, the type of image that is being presented will be reviewed as we go through the optimization process of presenting your data. So let's start at the beginning. Let's get a set of images. Now, if you've already taken your images and you want to load them for the purpose of analysis, the way you do it is by going to File and then File Manager. File Manager will basically access any and all parts of your hard drive. So wherever you've stored them, you'll be able to locate them. And in this particular case, I've just put them on the desktop, and we load them up. So this particular folder contains 8 individual images. What we're looking at here is the homepage, if you will, of Image Manager. And this is quite a powerful platform in and of itself, in that you, in the first leftmost window, have a recording of, or a presentation of, where your selected file is located. And in the central window here, we're looking at all the various different parameters of metadata that are embedded into each of your images. And these are described here as individual folders, and within each folder, you will see that there are variable values that particular parameter can have. And you can select for the files within the folder that have any one of these parameters for description. This is a nice way of diving down into a folder that may have many images in it and selecting only those that you want to work with. Finally, over here in the right-hand side of the Image Manager main window is a presentation of the individual files within the folder, and in a column fashion presentation of the various different parameters of those files and the values of those parameters presented on a per image basis. So what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and open up all the images in the selected folder. To do that, you select them as I did here, or you can go and I'm just going to off click here and do select all. And that gets you all of the files selected for loading. And how do you load? You click on Load Selected. What we're going to get in this first set of images is a set of 5 mice, 4 test mice, 1 control mouse, control mouse here is off to the left. The probe in use here is OsteoSense 750, which is a hypoxyapatite crystal binding probe, fluorescent probe in the near infrared. And hypoxyapatite is a crystal present in the growth plate of long bones. So all these mice were challenged 24 hours prior to imaging, and then were imaged in various different positions, as we can see here. The first 4 in the dorsal, next 3 in ventral, and the final in profile. And by way of an exercise in how to do ROI analysis, we're now going to go down to the toolbox and select a way of measuring the signal intensity. Now, let me just stop for a moment and just change gears. What we're going to do first is we're going to select the set of images in which the mice are of a particular orientation. Okay, so that would be the first 4 images here, where they are in the dorsal position. To do that, you go back to Image Manager, and you'll see that the files have already been described with regard to the mouse orientation. This was done by the user at or shortly after the time of acquisition. And you can see that there are 4 images that are described as dorsal. So we'll go ahead and just select those, again using the Shift and left mouse to select and hit load. And that's going to replace all 8 images just with the first 3 that have the mice in the dorsal position. There is one last one here, the last image. So I will go ahead and select that and add that now to the existing 3 by hitting Add Selected. Great. So we have all 4 dorsal images of the mice. And what we want to do now is do an ROI analysis, a region of interest analysis, on the signal intensity of the experiment mice versus the control mouse. So the easiest way to draw an ROI is just to draw it on an individual image. So to magnify from a summary presentation of the open images to an individual image, you simply double-click on the image that you'd like to start your ROI drawings on. So I'm going to do the top left image, and we're going to go down to the toolbox, and we will go ahead and do a whole mouse ROI in this case. So I'm going to use a square ROI, and it's simply a matter of pointing the crosshairs to a position and dragging. All right, and instantaneously you'll see that the software gives you the total photons per second seen within that region. Now we're going to go ahead and just copy and paste this across the 5 mice in this image. So that involves just double clicking inside the ROI, left mouse double click, right mouse single click copy. The reason why I left mouse double clicked is to get the activation, as you can see by the squares at the corner of the ROI. We'll go ahead and copy, and then outside of that ROI, hit right mouse and paste ROI, and then again to activate, double left mouse click inside the ROI and drag into position. Great, and now we're just going to repeat this process across for all 5 mice. Now, you may be wondering if you need to do this for every single time you're doing a particular study, and the short answer is no. The reason for that is that you can go ahead and create an ROI template, which is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so you can see that you have all 5 mice nicely analyzed, but if you go back out to your summary presentation of the 4 images, it's only the one that you've done the analysis on. So a way to replicate the work that you've done quickly is just to create an ROI template. How do you do that? You go to Measure and select Save ROIs to File. Okay, now it's going to ask you which image. This is the first image. Hit Continue, and you would apply a name to that ROI template. we'll just call this ROI total mass -5. All right, and so now to apply it to the remaining images, we'll go ahead up to measure and restore ROIs from file. And we want to apply it only to the selected images. So let me just cancel out of here and select the images that we want. You'll see selection is indicated by a green triangle at the top left corner of the image. And if you want to select more than one group, you just hit the shift key and keep on clicking on the images of interest. All right, so now let's go back to, I hit auto color range to get all of them back into their default intensity range, and we'll go to measure and restore from ROIs. And now we want to go down to ROI total mass -5 and restore only to the selected images. Okay, and those would be 2, 3, and 4. And so there we go. We now have all 4 images with the exact same ROI template applied to the 4 images. Now, if we want to go ahead and quantitate what the results are from this ROI analysis, you go to Measurement Manager and select what looks like a ruler, and you'll see an output that gives you a table basically of the individual ROIs per image, 1 through 4, for image 1, etc. Okay, and what you can see here down at the bottom is that there are various tabs that you can select. If you want to export this data, you can go ahead and click on Save as a CSV file and save it.